Hi Chem 305 students, we're ready to move on to our next module, and that module is Excel. Based on the feedback I got at the beginning of the semester, it seems all of you have a working understanding of Excel. That's great. So we are going to take and try new things with Excel and hopefully challenge you in ways that you haven't been challenged before as far as your usage for Excel. Our first project, we will be creating a buffer preparation sheet. So say that you work in Aliso in the lab as a lab tech. Come in on a Monday morning, you're given a set of buffers that you're told to make, and the list is pretty deep. First thing you have to do is sit down and calculate all of the amounts that you're going to need. Every time you get a buffer, there will be a different concentration. They'll have a set pH and a final amount that they want. Based on that, you're going to be working through your work, you're doing some manual calculations and figuring out how much of each of your ingredients you have to add. Well, what happens if you could automate that? And so that when you came in the morning, you can simply put in the buffer, the concentration, the pH, and the final amount, and it will spit out everything that you need. That's exactly what we're going to do in this worksheet that you have in front of you. So it is that Monday morning again. I come in, they want a tris buffer. So I choose my tris buffer. The concentration is low, it's just 50 millimolar, so 0.05 moles, molarity. They want a pH of 7.3. They want a lot, they want 2 liters. And what I see in front of me now is that if I add 12.114 grams with about 6.4 milliliters of HCl and 2 liters of water, I should be fairly close to what the exact pH and concentration is that I want to make. Kind of interesting, huh? Except for, in this case, I don't have 5 molar HCl. Last person used that up. I can adjust my strong acid down to 2 molar, which is what I have in stock. And again, my values adjust down. Done making that tris buffer, now I want to make a mess buffer. They want a higher concentration this time. They want 0.1 molar. The pH is lower though, 6.8, but they just need a little bit of that, so 0.5 liters. And this time you can see it's adjusted down for the amount of mess I've required, and instead of a strong acid, I will be using a strong base. So about 33.4 milliliters of NaOH, and then the water necessary, or the DI water necessary to do it. This is the end project or product that you are going to be creating in this module. We are going to build up to this actual end product in a series of different functionalities using Excel. So I join you as we move on to our first one, which is bringing in data from a website and using a VLOOKUP command along with basic formulas. So this is the buffer spreadsheet you're given. What you see here is the name of buffers, their molecular formula, useful pH range, and a set of pKa's. The pKa's we are going to be using are the ones at 25 degrees C. So in the background on this module, we talked about the Henderson-Hasselbalch. You will need to use the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation to solve for the amount of strong acid or strong base that you will need to add to your buffer. To do that, you're going to need the number of moles of each of the buffer that you're adding in. Again, we measure in grams, so to get to the number of moles, we're going to need the formula mass to be able to do that conversion. So in this section of the video, we're going to work through bringing things in from a website into Excel, cleaning that data up, and then using what we call VLOOKUP to bring in the atomic masses for each of the elements so that we can calculate the formula mass for each of our buffers. So let's start with bringing data in. You have been given a link to a website, and on that website is a list of elements in atomic number, what I want you to do is highlight those and copy them. We're going to go back over to our spreadsheet. I've made a new tab called Periodic Table, and I'm going to use my paste feature, Control V, and I brought the data in. And you can see it's brought it in nicely in the columns that we like and that type of information. However, if you look at helium, my atomic weight is actually a string. It's a text character, not a number. And it's that because of the 2 in parentheses, and we'll also see that there's a space in there. So how do I get rid of that? Well, I want to clean up this column, so I'm going to do it that way. Go to my home, and there's a nice feature called Replace. And what this feature does is it looks for an item, and the highlighted cells, if you don't highlight a cell, it'd look across the table. It looks for an item. In this case, if I want to find weight, it will find it, and there it found it. If I want to replace that weight with something else, I'll replace it with the word weight. I can hit replace, and I've now changed it from WT to the full name weight. Well, let's do something a little fancier. I want to get rid of these parentheses and the numbers in the parentheses. Well, I want to get rid of that, and I could say get rid of that, find and replace that. But I also want to get rid of my close paren, and I want to get rid of the numbers also inside of there. And I could go number my numbers, so I can say 1, and I can say replace all. Oh, it didn't give me to replace it with. So 1, I want to replace it with nothing. So I can replace all. Cannot find matching. Why not? Should be able to find replace. Oh, I have a space in there. It hates spaces. And it found 22 replacements. But now I'm left with 2s, 5s, 4s, and all that. I can use what's called a wildcard. And I can change this to an asterisk. So what it's looking for is an open and a closed parentheses. And it doesn't care what's in between. And it's going to, again, replace it with nothing. So this time when I say replace all, it's come back and it's made 50 replacements. So I can do it really fast using that wildcard. Now I still have a string, not a text. In order to get rid of that, get it into a text, I need to get rid of those spaces. So I'm literally going to find, and I put a space in there and replace with nothing. What happens when I replace all? You can now see it's right justified. They have become numeric terms. So that's great. So my data looks ready to go and usable. Let's go back to my buffer data. And this time, I want to bring in the elements, the atomic masses of the elements I am going to use. So I need element C, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and sulfur. I'm going to use what's called a VLOOKUP. And it's a command. To put a command in, I put equal, and it's VLOOKUP. And what it says is it needs a lookup value, so it needs to know what it's looking up. It needs to the table array, and that says where am I going to find it? What am I looking up, and where am I going to find it? And once I find it, what am I going to bring back? So it's going to bring back from a certain column a value that I want it to bring back. And then the third is optional. We're going to set that to false, so it always comes back only if for the exact match that I'm looking for. So my lookup, I want them to look up C in this case, which is cell G6. Where am I looking it up? Well, I'm looking it up under this table. And I'll never have a buffer that's going to go beyond 82. It will automatically look in the first column for the C. That's why I chose the symbol as my start, not the atomic number as my start. What is it bringing back? It needs a column index number. That is based on my first column of my table array, which column number has the value I'm bringing back. In this case, it's column number 3. I'm going to set this as false. And false implies that I want to bring back an exact match. So it has to find C exactly. It won't find chlorine and try to bring that value back. So let's see what happens when I go back here. And voila, I have carbon. And carbon, we know, has an atomic mass of 12. Now I want an easy way to copy this so that I can do the same thing for hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, any of the other ones I add. So I want it always to go to the row above where I'm going. So when I go to H, when it goes to look up, I want it to go from H7 to H6 for this cell. By not doing anything on this cell, we call it relative, it will go one column over. However, with my table, I always wanted to use B3 to D85. To lock that down, I use dollar signs. And I'm going to put dollar signs around both the columns that I want to lock and the rows I want to lock. And if I do this, it hasn't changed my carbon. But if I copy this over, you can see now it's brought in hydrogen, which is what I wanted, nitrogen, what I wanted, and the like. So the final thing we'll do here before I turn you loose is let's determine the formula mass. And this we're going to use just a general type formula. So you start it with an equal signs. Oops, I forgot to do one thing. Before I do that, we need to put how many of each I have. So I have 6 carbons here, 13 hydrogens, 1 nitrogen, 4 oxygen, and 1 sulfur. So to determine the formula mass, I'm simply going to take my carbon and multiply it times the number of carbons that I have. I'm going to add it to my hydrogens times the number of hydrogens I have. And then I'm going to add it to my number of nitrogens times the number of nitrogens I have. And keep doing this. And voila, I get my formula mass of 195. So I'm going to turn you loose now so that you can bring in your elements from a periodic table and determine your formula mass for all of your buffers.